Our next speaker was kind enough to come here and make a presentation instead of Jacob, who fell ill. And he is Ain-Alar Juhanson, who is the chief organizer of IRONMAN Tallinn. And he will be here to talk about this story. And IRONMAN Tallinn was also one of his big dreams to make it in Tallinn. And all these volunteers that you saw here helped him to make this come true. So the stage is yours.
Thank you, everybody. First of all, thank you for a great opportunity, early morning opportunity to come here and speak a little bit about Ironman and our dream and our journey on it. I thought a little bit how to explain it to audience over here, and I did put it together as following the dream. The dream became quite a few years ago and from the scratch. And I'm hoping to introduce you the journey and what it takes to actually fulfill your dream and what comes next. 2018, we organized first time Ironman Tallinn full distance event in Tallinn. It's the second capital in Ironman circuit. And it took us, can you imagine, 13 years to finally reach a dream. So it's a long journey. We don't have a 13 years, we have a half an hour. I try to be quick on it. But I made some bullet points to what I would like to cover today and to introduce you a little bit about the back office work and what it takes to actually fulfill the dream. The dream itself, we talk about a little bit later. Also learning from scratch. As an ex-professional, how to become a race director, what it takes. Our people. I'm meaning here not only athletes who are coming to race in our races, but also volunteers, our team, also community, where we're going to take this race and who's going to host us. And of course, challenges. This is the great one. If we organize events, everybody knows that you can plan how much you want, but there is always challenges. Even the best plan will be done again and again, finally, before the event will come true. And then becoming an Ironman country, finally, this year, 2018, as Estonian 100th anniversary, what it took to convince Ironman side and also what it took to convince Estonia as a government and a country and also Tallinn as a host city. And what is the future of our entrepreneur? The dream itself. I'm an ex-professional athlete, been professional triathlete 11 years and traveled around the world, won 3 times Ironman. I really enjoyed the lifestyle. I saw people, age groups, all abilities, racing together with professionals, everybody smiling, they're happy. The community really inspired me. And I really wanted to bring this same feelings, this experience to here in Estonia and trying to kind of give back something as a professional athlete. The dream become true, or not become true, but the dream actually evolved together when we had a discussion with the family and thinking, and I'm expressing to them that, well, let's do something. Let's try to make the same race or just a little bit as the same race here in Estonia. Of course, family is supporting you all the time, and that's great. And I'm happy to have a great family. But how it happened, it comes later. But also, the same thing, which I think everybody should have something what inspires them, something which drives them the core way, the most important thing. And for us, and at least for me and the team around me, it's a triathlon smiling faces. It's simple as that. We call it Tree Smile. We think that if people around us are happier, then the world is a better place. And we think if you do a sports, you can be happier. And especially if you do a triathlon, you'll be more happier. So here we are, triathlon smiling faces, Tree Smile, and that's where it all began. Learning from scratch, we started 2005 with the idea, well, we want to make a sport event. I invited all my friends who dared to come to little town Paide, which has only 10,000 people living. Let's have a half Ironman distance race. We got together, we are, I think, 80 people racing, and none of the organizers had a clue how to organize the event. We saw how it happens and how it should look like, but basically, when they give a start, I did put down the running course. I started to do that. So it was really going from the beginning. Where we start, well, you have a dream and you want to become something, or you want to do something. So first of all, if you have a dream, talk with your relatives, your friends, your partners. Find out who are with you, who can come with you, who can collaborate, who can help you. And maybe you find people who can share your dream. In this hall, there's quite a few people who share the same dream, and we come a long way. What's next? What's needed to actually follow your great dream? Well, for me, I was still a professional athlete, but the dream kept on coming with me, or going with me. I was still racing, but at the same time trying to find and learn how to organize events. I wrote my first email to the Ironman Corporation that, well, we just started with a race, but would like to have a 70.3 Ironman event. Of course, I didn't get any reply because there was no reason to reply on that. But years later, after really learning what it takes and communicating with Ironman in different levels, we found out that it's a long journey. Also, it's important to find partners. Also, in this hall, there is quite a few partners who has been with us all these 13 years as sponsors or as supporters. And this is, I think, an important part, whatever we do in life. Either it's an organizing event or you have your own motivation to do something. If you share your motivation or your call, this moment you actually become, you will create your own audience. People who will share you, people who will follow you, people who will motivate you. If you keep your dream inside yourself, it's easy to make changes on the dream. You can maybe cut the dream or even forget the dream. So I think it's important to share if you have a dream and you want to do something. It helps in many different ways. And also, building a team. The team, what we have right now, who organized IRONMAN Tallinn, is built up over the years. We have quite a few people from very beginning. We have people who grew up from volunteers, stepped up and wanted to have more responsibilities. And we have people who just joined us on this year. But I think the team itself, together with volunteers, is a core value of what we do, at least in the sports events. Our people, our athletes, our volunteers. It's a core value of our success. Our volunteers, we had 2,000 volunteers together with Ironman 70.3 Otepää and Ironman Tallinn. And the challenge was for Ironman Tallinn to find 1,300 people in Estonia or nearby or wherever to come and help and put the hand to make the great race happen. This is something we never had in Estonia. 1,300 volunteers is quite a bit of people to come together, to organize, and to find them. Thank you for SCULT, helping to share the word and collect these people. And to be honest, the amount of people we actually had in a race day was 1 volunteer per athlete. So 1,300 athletes and 1,300 volunteers to help you organize the event. Athletes. These are the people who make our race visible. They are in a result list, they share the experience. And if the athlete will go and go through Ironman Tallinn course, for example, the thing what he sees and what he experiences comes from volunteers. Either in aid station or in a transition area or in a finish line or start line, or whatever he asks or the problem he covers, what problem comes, volunteers are there to help. So altogether, it's a mixture. It becomes, if the volunteers doing the job well and athletes are doing their job well, it becomes a family, a team. And that's why our race, after the volunteers party, with a joint party, where athletes came and also volunteers came and they enjoyed the life. And it altogether, as Ironman says, and the sentence is, anything is possible. And the great things can happen only when people come together and they join them. What are the challenges? Well, first of all, to actually convince Ironman Corporation that Estonia is a great place where to have next Ironman event was really incredibly hard. Well, first of all, to have such scale, how many of you have done Ironman on this hall? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, quite a few. It's a hard event. And also Ironman brand events. There's only 41 Ironman events in the world, and only one capital before Tallinn, where it took place. To convince Ironman that, well, we are good organizers, that they can trust us, that we can put together a great event which deserves to be Ironman. Well, that's why we needed to organize 3 years or 2 years Ironman 70.3 Otepää as a test event. They came to watch, we learned, they wanted us to do better, we made it better. But still, it's not enough. If you look at what's behind Ironman events, then there's also location, community, local hospitality. This is really important parts. If Ironman actually would say yes, or when Ironman wanted to say yes, the first thing is they wanted to meet with city government, with government representatives to understand, are we welcomed? Because you can't have any events anywhere in a big city if community is not welcoming you. There's quite a few events around. I'm traveled as a triathlete as well, and they're great events, and they're put it somewhere in a great place, in a big cities, like in Abu Dhabi. But it's just a race in a great environment, but community is not involved. And it's really hard to make a great event if you can't involve local community and if you can't be part of it. You are not doing your own thing just in some field, but it should be mixture. If you can bring the community together and they come your aid station or traffic control marshals, or they come to watch it, then it changes straight away. And also other way around, how to convince Estonia as a country and Tallinn as a city that Ironman is a great event where you should put the effort to bring it in, because nobody can do it alone. It was also difficult because, first of all, what is Ironman? It's only 2,000 or half-naked people running around the city. Well, true, they are almost half-naked, but it's just a race like this. Together with these half-naked people comes quite a bigger group of people. For Ironman Tallinn, we made an economical study, and it turns out it's almost 5 million euros economical impact, what it brought to Tallinn. And that already talks quite a bit of story. And another thing is, triathlon, we are in a Nordic country. It's really hard to motivate people in a winter where we have great skiing events, which are really popular. And we still would like to speak a little bit about the triathlon, that people would know that, well, in summer there is also a great event coming. Our summer is only 3 months long. So the challenge become, first of all, to be visible. Second of all, to break the stigma that Ironman is only for Superman. It's not for Superman. For example, there is almost 80% who are really doing it only one time, just to do it, to make a little arrow that I'm done it. We have about 37% people who are racing our races who are doing the first triathlon. So they come only to get the experience, and then they go away and they live a much better life. But to be visible, it's hard. So we created a good role model project. We brought in actor who are 51 years old, was 25 kilos overweight, and we started to follow him and to prepare him to become an Ironman athlete. And that was really great success. This morning in a national newspaper, he was voted the second most important cultural person in a year. And not only because he's cultural things, but also because he motivates so many people around Estonia to become more healthier people. And in all of a sudden, you want to achieve your goal, to talk about your event a little bit more, but it's much wider cause. You're actually helping environment and people to come more to active lifestyle and to be more healthy. Finding 1,300 volunteers. That's a challenge. We have a volunteers director over here and we have SCULT people here. That was in one point almost impossible. Volunteering is really popular and mainstream almost in the Central European countries, where the lifestyle is much higher and where older people are looking for something to do. In Estonia, volunteering is not so well known yet. It grows every year. I think events like our events and other events around are really helping, and also SCULT is helping a lot to actually spread a word that if you come to become a volunteer, it's not just to come and help for free something, but it's just to be part and create something. And that's something which needs to be talked, and year by year, it goes wider. For example, we went this far that already on the second year, we invite orphan house kids to be our volunteers. We send a bus over there, we bring a bus full of kids, and they become our aid stations. And it's been most popular aid station in our races, because kids are so happy to be part of something. And this is something our volunteers can learn, that it's being part of something really great, and just to understand that I did it. I made this race happen or this event happen. How to get local community involved? We've been talking about it different ways. Most importantly, if you say Tallinn, we're going to make IRONMAN Tallinn, ooh, they're going to close everything, everybody will be mad. You can't do it. It's not possible. But maybe we talk in this way that, well, it's going to be Ironman, but we're going to close everything, but we make our best for you to come and share people, and also you can still move around. We didn't close, although it was 24 hours almost, the city center was closed, we didn't close not a one public transportation. It's really hard. Our traffic marshal went almost crazy because we don't have a metro, we don't have bridges where you can split courses. But we found out that if you're wise enough and you're creative enough, you can still make it happen. We made a specific, I don't know how it in English, but kuidas on lüüs inglise keeles, a specific way of letting a public transportation still go. We changed athletes' courses. Still, it was the same distance for everybody, but it's just the public transportation basically makes a stop, and athletes will run around it, and we change the athletes' course other way around, and public transportation can go. That was huge management to make sure that public transportation doesn't hit our runners or cyclists, but by the end of the day, public transportation still went on, and people were happy, community was happy. If normally public events will get a lot of problem for transportation office that, well, they close the roads, they do all kind of things. There was only one email over 24 hours what went to public transportation office asking how I can get around. So putting effort to understanding community needs and helping them to understand what you want to do is so important that if you can't get the community abroad, then your race or your event is not sustainable. It's just not possible. How to be sustainable? Well, that's why I'm here, to learn, to understand, to find solutions, how we can be sustainable in 10 years and 20 years. How can we be better? I think the understanding is there that we have to be working together, we have to share it. But still, it's hard way and long way to go. How we can make trash go away, or how can we reduce trash we create? Because if you organize event, there's almost 26 aid stations where 2,000 people go by and they want to drink, they're creating trash. It's really hard to just get it away or take it away. But I think with a smart movement and something to think through, it's possible to reduce it, and one day maybe it's almost nothing. I'm going to show you a little video about this year's events, what happened in Tallinn, and hopefully it's a little bit what motivates you. Thank you.
Forget again. Thank you.
I have one question to you, the audience. What do you think was the water temperature? I was jumping in at 7 o'clock. Bit less, I think, 14 degrees.
Well, the problem was there is something on challenges what we can change. Unfortunately, water temperature is not that. Week before the race, it was 6 degrees. Outside was 32. We tried our best. It was 15.4 in the start time and a little bit cooler afterwards.
Okay, thanks, Ain, again.
Thank you.